let's touch into assumable loans.
Because I have no idea what the fuck that is.
Perfect. So with the assumable loans, right, this is something that a lot of people don't know about. And my team actually, we knew about it, but we actually did these deals. So assumable loans are great if you have...
Wait, what is an assumable loan?
So...
Or you describe why it's great.
So I'll touch into this, right? Let's start with rates, and then I'll go into assumable loans real quick. So right now, our interest rates nationally are, what I looked up today, are about 7%.
Yeah.
Now, with that being said, reach out to me or reach out to whoever you feel like is in that avenue of real estate, and they can connect you with someone that can get you a rate lower than 7%, but national average is 7%. Now, why you should purchase a home, in my professional opinion, with the 7% rate is because based on the National Association of Realtors, every time an interest rate drops 1%, that means there's 5 million people available to enter the house buying market. So think about all the competition. By 1% rate, 5 million people. Now, that doesn't mean that 5 million people are going to...
That makes sense. So if you were in a 7% range and the average percentage drops to 6%, now all of those people that were like 6.5, 6.9, 6.4, yeah.
All the people that were priced out that can't afford a home at 7%, now they're able to get into the game, right? And they've been waiting for that. So what that does is create more competition. And then for an area like this where, inventory is still relatively low, I mean, you're not going to find a house, bro. It's going to be really hard. You're going to be paying way above house price.
Which is horseshit because you sell houses.
Of course. I mean,
you're still in the business.
But I
I understand what you're saying.
I like working with buyers, because it's the aspect of like helping people buy a home. But sellers, I love it all day. Like we gonna get the money. Like we gonna make it rain. We making it rain, So I love it. It's a catch-22. But so think about that. So 5 million people are able to enter the market to buy a home. Now, all 5 million people are not going to take advantage of that. But even if it's 1 million people,
or probably don't know the information to be able to take advantage of it.
Yeah, even if it's 1 million people, 500,000, it still makes a difference, and it's going to affect your market. So the reason that assumable loans are so great is because of this. Assumable loans are great because let's say you bought your home and you're ready to sell. And this is great for VA, by the way. But you need to have the funds for it. Someone who's selling their home, their rate is assumable.
You mean the backhand funds or the income?
Back-end funds.
Okay.
That's the thing about it. It's like a catch to it. And this is why owning real estate is so fun. I'll touch into that on the Patreon. But so let's just say someone's selling their home. They have an interest rate right now of 2.5%. You can assume the 2.5% rate versus today's rate at a 7%.
Okay.
Let me say that again. You can assume someone's rate 2.5 versus today's market 7%. So that's huge because number one, now your range of house is way different.
Yeah.
Right? So instead of you getting that little shitty condo, you can get you a nice single family home and still pay less than someone with that shitty condo.
Yeah.
Now, the only caveat to it is when you do assumable loan, you're assuming someone else's loan, and the gap between what it was worth then and what it's worth now, you have to hedge that gap. So let's just give you an example. Let's say
that depends on how much the value has gone up for the house.
Exactly.
Okay.
So it is going to be a today's market value, right?
Okay.
So let's just say someone purchased a house, $150,000. They're still paying on their loan, but the house is now worth $300,000. You have to cover the $150,000 gap. But if you cover
the $150,000 gap, you could possibly get that house for 2.5%.
Exactly.
Shit.
So that's why assumable loans are so great right now. Now, people are saying, Malcolm, come on, what the fuck? We don't have $150,000 laying around. I was going to touch on Patreon, but I'll get into it now because we have other topics. That's why it's important for you to own real estate now. See, people who are waiting on the line right now for real estate and owning a home, you're using leverage. The first home you buy is not your forever home.
Yes,
right?
100%.
But even the next house you buy after that, it's not going to be your forever home, right? So people forget about that building aspect of real estate, right? You're going to use that as leverage. So
because at some point, you're going to downsize.
Right, exactly.
I think my parents, their first home was a townhouse. Shout out to my original Woodbridge niggas in high school and middle school. But there was their townhouse. Then they moved up to the single family home. But the single family home was based off me and my brother's presence because we were still in elementary school my brother was, and I was in high school because we're 10 years apart. So, but now moving in the future, as my parents are empty nesters,
right?
Like, there's no reason for a 3-story, 8-bedroom house
unless they're going to rent it. But most likely they're going to give it to you, give it to you all. Yeah, yeah.
But so now it's only a matter of downsizing. So now the value of the house that you had, you paid it this amount, it's worth this amount. You're selling it now, but you're going smaller, more than likely for them.
Probably going with a
they're
Rambler.
going smaller than the original market value that they paid for the house back in 2007 for the market value of the house. So it's the leverage that like eventually pays off on the back end.
So use that leverage, right? For example, for me, like I always touch on like my house, and I bought my house with my girl. We bought our house. The house is worth a certain amount of money. I'm not going to disclose, and like now it's time to get to that next level.
Yeah,
and we're going to use the equity, and we could probably do an assumable loan. Yeah, right, based on the amount of equity that we have. So yeah. Tap into the real estate game. You have to get into it. Play the game.
Dope. Like, cause keeping that 2.5% interest rating not being a thing is not really a thing.
Right.
It's you can get that rate.
We're never gonna get that again, bro. 2.5%, like 2.5% in 2020, like that's when the market. Remember, it was crazy, but I don't know if you remember, it was bananas.
I literally had this conversation earlier today. I'll touch on it later, but I literally had this conversation about like the prices that y'all are used to. You're never going to go back to those prices. You'd have to make less money.
Right.
The government would have to drop the amount of income that you receive for you to go back to some of the prices that you were getting things. Houses aren't going back down to, especially in this area, specifically in this area, they're not going back down to under $200,000 when you could get a townhouse for $195,000.
Never, bro. You in this area, the average price right now for a really decent townhome is $450,000.
Yeah, it was $300,000 last time you were on.
Yeah, $450,000.
And that was 2 years ago.
$450,000. This area is booming. That's what I'm saying. The next 10 years, invest in something. Invest in some dirt.
Yeah.
Get some dirt and invest in it.
Yeah.
That's for all my weed growers as well.
If you know, you know.
But yeah, so I mean, and the thing that you need to know about assumable loans, it's only eligible for FHA or VA. So that's why I said
the VA guys, shout out.
Conventional loans, no. Right.
Based.
So what's happened to that? And when you're ready, we'll figure out something too.
Shout out to my VA niggas.
So yeah, that's the plug, man. That's the gem from this portion of the podcast that you all need to take: the water and that assumable loan for sure.
And those were high caliber fucking gems right there.
For sure.
Because getting on the aircraft with that fucking water is wild to this day. That was a gem. But no, I never knew that. I never knew what an assumable loan is, and like knowing that, okay, you can still get that same interest rate if you basically just cover their end and continue to pay off your own debt.
Right.
That's dope.
Right. And the real estate here is only going to thrive, man. I mean,
it's just getting
the
higher
appreciation
and higher.
is insane.
Yeah, it's wild out here. In this area, I don't know.
You kind of feel like it won't sustain a little bit, right? But it will.
No, I know it will.
Yeah.
Because I always reflect on the fact that this is it's a military community. And obviously, with the increase in cost of living, obviously your cost of living expenses go up. So I never worry about like if this place is gonna stop booming because it's just too close to 4 military bases.
Right, Quantico,
it's
Fort
Quantico,
Belvoir,
Fort Belvoir. I work at Andrews.
Yep.
And then there's Boeing, which is right in DC. Not to mention the Pentagon,
right,
which is kind of a military base in its own. So and I always say that everybody that works in DC either lives here or lives a little bit more south.
Right.
So
and they're mad because they got to go back now.
Yep.
So guess what? There's an opportunity for people selling their homes in Fredericksburg area for the people that don't have to commute. Fredericksburg, Spotsylvania, because they got to start commuting back to DC. So they're going to end up eventually trying to buy back. Move closer to DC.
Based.
You know what I mean? So
free gyms. Because that makes sense though. Because like with the alleviation of the remote work.
Right.
So I mean, teleworking is still a thing. So That's one of the specifics you got to understand about that is like, yeah, teleworking is still a thing, but the remote work. So all you people that have been working, remote working in DC and lived in a different state, bring your ass back.
Got to come back. But that's why it's important for you to find something. You start working for the man. Figure it out.
Yeah. But not all of you should, because some of y'all suck at running y'all own entities and stuff. Some of y'all are better worker bees than y'all are leaders.
Everybody can be a boss.
Everybody can't be. You've said that before. I think you said it last episode.
Everybody can't be a boss.
Everybody can't be a boss.
It's okay though. Like, just know your role. Jabroni.
Everybody ain't player one, okay? Not all of y'all have main character energy. So if you know, you know. But that's not all of y'all. But fuck, that's Assuming Balloons. Great fucking plug. The water, fire. You trying to lead that one?
Yeah, you got it. That's why I brought it. True.
Based.
Yeah.
And that's the our Sins And Woes plug right there. But speaking of plugs, let me go ahead and get this SoundCloud playlist plug of the week. That was a fucking that was a streamless fucking transition.
Too excited about that water. He's like, I could keep it.